Today, we're going to be putting together a Lagree Fitness Mega Pro. And now that we have everything unboxed, we're looking at the front end here. We've got it set up, and the first thing we're going to do is install the spring rack onto the middle leg right here. This is your spring rack. You'll need the M5 wrench provided, as well as 4 M6 bolts. To install the spring rack, you install 4 M6 bolts. Install 1 bolt at a time until they're finger tight, then come back and tighten them down all the way using the wrench. Next step is to install the springs themselves. We've got 8 springs total, 1 gray super light spring, 4 white light springs, and 3 black heavy springs. And we're gonna install them, the gray spring first, and then a white spring, and then alternating black and white springs from there. Right, now we've got our springs installed. Next step is to roll the carriage onto the front end of the machine. To install the carriage, you'll need a little bit of help. You just want to roll the carriage on about 3/4 of the way and then let it rest on the top of the rails. Next up, we are going to be installing the rear stabilizer tubes. Right. The rear stabilizer tubes just thread onto threaded studs. So all you need to do is put them in place and tighten them down snugly. Now we're going to put on the back end of the machine. Next, we're going to install 4 bolts to keep the back end onto the front end, 2 at the rails and 2 at the supports. So now we're going to install our travel stops. To do that, we're going to roll the carriage to about midway on the machine and install our stops in the middle rail. These are the stoppers that we're installing next. It's important to note that they are mirrors of each other, and so they live on opposite sides. This one goes on your left-hand side, this one goes on your right-hand side, and you want to install them so that they go over the middle leg. Next, we are going to install the bungee bars. On this model, we have one on the front and the back, so 2 bungee bars. We'll install Next, we're going to adjust the carriage wheels alignment. So we're going to make sure that the carriage stays centered in the machine. Next up, we're going to install the platforms. We'll start with the back platform, and when we install the platforms, we're only going to put in 2 bolts initially, and we're going to leave them a little bit loose so that we can install the handles. All right, and now we're going to install the handles. There are 2 different handles. The front handle has this extra loop here. The back handle, just straight like that. When we install them, they have 2 different size hardware. We'll use M6 hardware for these holes and M8 hardware for these holes. Here's the handle.